What is going on, guys? Justin from H2O Plants, and today we're taking a look at mermaid weed, also known as sawtooth hygro, because of its amazing razor-edged leaves. So let's get into what this guy is. So we get this plant in from time to time. It's called mermaid weed, also called something palustris. It is a stem plant that is kind of similar if you were to think of it as like a hygro. That's why it has the name sawtooth hygro sometimes, even though it's not technically a hygrophilia plant. But it can be easily mistaken for like water wisteria. Those that don't know the difference between water sprite and water wisteria could confuse this with that too. Mainly because its leaves, when it gets under really bright light, is very similar. You can see here they have this like serrated edge. It almost looks like a knife blade or you know, just any kind of serrated edge. And it's really cool looking. It has, you know, an interesting kind of color scheme. It's got neon green leaves almost. They're like a bright green. They're not quite like a dark green as typical stem plants you would see. And its stem is usually more reddish. Right now it's kind of this like beige color. But under intense light, it will get red. Now, one thing, let me just say right off the bat here, is that this is a very demanding plant compared to other plants. I wouldn't say it's the hardest to grow, but I wouldn't say it's like the easiest. So it's definitely in the middle ground. It's more of an intermediate plant and not something that I would necessarily suggest for beginners. But with that said, if you were to get the lighting requirements really down right for this plant, it will grow rather easily for you. It does require a whole lot of light. So medium to high light is pretty much all I would recommend to grow this in if you have extremely low light. So if you have low light, I definitely wouldn't recommend this for you. You definitely need a good amount of light. And what'll happen is, typically when you see this plant, like if you ever go inside your local fish store or you ever order it online, typically it is grown immersed. And its leaves immersed look way different. They're much more broad. They have very tiny little serration to them, if at all. They're just broadleaf plants up out of the water. But underwater, like this guy has been grown, which is awesome, because normally, like, we even get it immersed typically, but they started growing this underwater, and I could tell that just because the leaves are not normally this serrated, so it makes the plant just look really nice. So the more light that you have, the more serration it will have. Like if you look towards the top, you could tell, let's see, you could tell that the leaves are very serrated over there. But then if you get down here at the bottom, they're less serrated. So the closer it is to the light, the more intense light it gets, the more serration it will have on its leaves. They will also develop pink edges too around the leaves under really bright light, which is really cool to see. So if you have like a really, you know, stupidly good light, it'll definitely it'll give you those pink colors, which is a very pretty plant. So it is a stem plant. You can trim this and propagate it just by replanting the tops that you trim away. Typically you want to trim that in between two leaf nodes. So wherever two leaves are, you want to trim it in between on the stalk, replant the top. These guys do have a common problem of melting from the bottom. They do get root rot rather easily from my personal experience. I mean, it may just be me, but so if you ever do get root rot with any plant, really, what you want to do is you want to try and find where it's rotting at the bottom. And then you want to cut maybe like an inch or so above that, if you can, a half an inch, any amount of good tissue. Basically, you want to clear out some good tissue with all the bad, but leave the rest of the good tissue up above good. I would toss away the bottoms at that point if they're rotting, and replant the tops. If the bottoms aren't rotting out, you could leave them be, and they'll sprout new plants, which is really good. These guys are a heavy root feeder, as you can see. Even though they are a stem plant, they do develop a really robust root system, so they do anchor in rather well once they get going. Planting tip for this guy, going back to the root rot a little bit, is plant these apart. So when you get them, take them out of the pot and separate the stems out and plant them, you know, about a half an inch apart, and you'll probably do much better with them. Other than that, it's not that picky of a plant. It will grow better with CO2, obviously. It's not really finicky to water parameters all that much. It does like slightly acidic water, so below a 7 pH, but you could probably grow. I mean, our tanks are like 7.2, 7.4, so it's doing just fine there. And that's really about it with this guy. It's a super simple plant, but it's really elegant looking, really cool. You know, you could use it as a nice background plant or mid-ground plant if you trim it. It does grow rather slowly compared to other stem plants, so just keep that in mind. It's not a really fast grower. And yeah, it's a great plant. If you have ever had mermaid weed, leave me a comment down below. If you're thinking about getting mermaid weed, let me know in the comments as well. As always, hit that like button. If you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any other planted related videos. Also, if you want to check out any previous videos, you can click either one of those, and I will see you guys next time.